Warble section here, weaving down the line. Looks for more barrel time, and this wave is really doubling up. Has to pin drop as the water runs out on the inside section, but a great barrel section on the outside for Andino.
Yeah, I like it, you know, from Kalohe. He knows that that's the tube ride is what it's going to take to beat Italo Ferreira. 6.10 is the highest score at the moment. And that last wave from Kalohe Andino, 5.10. Now, let's have a look. You can see how he slows himself down, using part of his body to try and get as deep as possible. Can still see him. And I think that's why that stayed at a 5.10 was the fact that he didn't quite disappear. He didn't spend too much time behind the curtain, so the judge is identifying that. And a 5.10, not enough to get himself in the lead, but a step in the right direction for Kalohe Andino, looking for a 5.54. Joan Daru is the worry, though, at the moment. You can see Kalohe there just slowing himself down. I think the judges prefer it when you go flying through a tube ride. It looks way more dynamic, a little bit more exciting. And I think Joan Daru needs to get the ball rolling here. So 9.36, he's fallen way behind. Just a 2.07, and that's how tricky it is out there this morning. It's quite easy to paddle out on a day like today and sit for a couple of hours and get some good ones, but to try and get 2 good waves in a matter of 30 minutes out here is a very difficult thing to do.
Gosh, Potts, you know what? You're pretty good at sitting out there and getting the good ones, because that's the patient game, right? And you're able to identify that. But to your point, you got 30 minutes, so you got to get busy. And sometimes you can't wait for, you know, that pick of the litter. You just got to go and keep the rotation going. That's what Kalohe Andino did. 5.1, though, however, is not enough for Kalohe to go into the lead. The lead still held by Italo Ferreira. As you said, 9.36 is the need for Joan Daru, but he does have priority. You can see that by the white P by his name. Well, now it's time to check out Woz in the channel. Strider Wazalewski, give us your perspective, Strider.
Well, we've had a few really good waves ridden from the channel, from the boats. It looked like Kalohe was getting the better of the exchange, but from the beach, the tower, you can actually see how deep they are, how fast they are, how long they stay in the tube. Italo, he got a yarn from his man in the water, Richard Dogmarsh. Pretty much let him have it. Said, what are you doing in here? Get out the back and find yourself a good wave, and that's just what happened. Had him get back out the back with Kalohe. Seems to be they've identified that's where the best waves are, and they're finding some really long, beautiful rides. And then Kalohe backing up his wave, getting a really nice tube. You know, there's really great waves out here. It's just a matter of finding them, because they're so far out the back to get onto them. You really think you're not in position, but if you just keep out the back, you can find it. There's a big lull in between sets, so really kind of sticking to your game plan, understanding where you're at on the reef and positioning. It's really tough, but if you know where you're at, you're going to find yourself some beautiful waves.
Well, Strider, where should these surfers be? Where would you say would be the optimum spot right now?
I think out the back there on that ledge, and I think they're, you know, the 3 surfers are kind of approaching that area now. We've seen Kalohe on a good wave there. We saw Italo on a good wave, and Joan's been trying to hunt around the inside, but I don't think it's worth it. I think staying out the back, you can find a wave that actually tubes on the bigger ones out there, as well as the smaller ones are absolutely rippable. So if you take a good look at a long-range camera zone from right now, you'll see a set approaching. You'll see a lot of water out the back moving. You'll see so many different sections out there that are all surfable. And if you can find yourself out there on a few of those, you can absolutely go to town, either in the barrel or in the lip. And then they're lining up through the inside. The whole wave is connecting right now. So it's a beautiful go. Here we go right now. Look at this thing. Joan's found himself a beauty. Let's see if he can. Oh, he's going to stuff it inside. Is he coming out? Ladies and gents, blown through the tube and finds the lip in the head. I can't believe it. Unfortunate. Let's get back to the booth. Look at this bomb, boys.
Thank you, Strider. And the view from the channel from Mr. Wazalewski, as we see Italo Ferreira starting to stall. Now has to put the gas pedal, pulling through this long section. Travels, the wave spits, breathes, and no exit. So a couple of nice tubes right behind him. Kalohe Andino speeding down the line, grabbing the rail, tucking under. There's the section he was looking for, and just a beating for Andino on that end section, collapsing on him.
All 3 beatings, all 3 guys paying the price. And those are the kind of waves that will break your board, that will break your body, that will crush your spirit. This place is not for the faint-hearted, especially those kind of waves. You know, the whole thing is you can see them coming. You can see it setting up, and you think to yourself, you know, do I want this? Do I really want this? And you've got to commit to it, because sometimes you come out of those and it's the wave of your life.
Talk us a little through what happens when you don't come out of a running barrel like that at Cloudbreak.
Well, you just got to pray you don't come in contact with the bottom. You know, it's all these guys are very well versed in the art of wiping out. I think that's what a lot of people, you know, you got the average surfer and you got the pros, you got the best surfers in the world. These guys know how to wipe out. They know how to fall. H2-4, look at this thing. It is just flying down the line. It is open wide and over the foam ball. That thing just ate him up and spat him out. Once that lip hits the water, there's all this white water shooting up the face of the wave. Joan Daru, I thought he was coming out of this. Maybe just slowed down a little bit too much. You know, once that wave unloads, you need to have that down the line speed. You need to have a bit of momentum. If not, it is just going to eat you up. And right here, you can see just up and over the foam ball, it just literally pulls that board from underneath your feet. You can see Matty Wilco, hands on the head, and then Kolohe Andino. This was just an absolute Hail Mary. There was no exit on this one, but Kolohe, I'll give him credit. I'll give him A for effort. I'll give him A for guts. And wow, that was just a very powerful, very scary wave through that inside. It gets shallower and shallower as it goes down the line, and it unloads, and you absolutely pay for that. That means, let me tell you, that'll really test your skills. It'll test your breath holding. It'll test your mettle on whether or not you want another one like that. That's for sure.
Wow, what an exchange. However, when we look at numbers, the situation remains the same. 1.93 for Kolohe Andino, a 2.4 for Italo Ferreira, and a 1.87 for Joan Daru, who needs a 9.36. And time is counting down. Leader of the heat also has first priority, as you can see with the blue P next to Italo's name. So this is what we call heat control.
100%. This is what you want. You want the lead. You want priority going into the back part of the heat. You want to be able to control that last sort of 2.5 or so minutes. So H2-4 has got himself in a really good position. Even though Kolohe Andino, he's only looking for a 5.54, so that is not a huge score. But when you look at what's been going down, you look at his scores that he's got. That 5.9 was a straight shot barrel. He's going to need something in that range, and there is not a lot of those out there. I mean, that last set just absolutely unloaded, and the ocean kind of takes a little bit of a break. It swells like this. We know from yesterday, when that swell starts growing, you have these moments when you know, you just got to really sort of you know, hold your line, hold your place on the lineup, and hope for the best.
Well, let's check in with Barton Lynch. Barton.
Yes, mate. I suppose the interesting thing is that people are going for 9s and 10s. That's the focus. The potential's there. The judges have held those scores back because they know the potential of this wave. And so when people are going for 10, 8, 9s and 10s, chances are you might not make it. So both the women's final and this first heat of the men's, we've seen that 6s and 7s would have won it, but people have been going for those 9s and 10s, and they're short on their two-wave scores, and 6s and 7s would have won you the heat. So at some point, someone's got to combine those two approaches. Start your heat in a consistent fashion, get your couple of 7s, get them in the bank, and then go for the 9s or 10s so you don't come up half-hearted at the end.
That is a great outlook from Barton Lynch, and you know, I think it's human nature, Potts. When the waves are just cranking like this, it's almost human nature that to just go for it, and you want that 9 or 10. But again, this is the game of surfing. It's a contest. You have to put together a heat. You need to get some scores.
Yeah, you got to, you know, you're not looking for a video clip. You're not looking for the shot. You know, you're looking for the score, and I think there's a big difference there. But you know, in saying that, it's, you know, it's the heat of the moment. You know, you want to get as deep as possible. You want to get those you know, big scores. You want to make it through your heat. But round one, no one loses, so you can afford to have a bit of a go. This is literally all the boys arrived yesterday, so you know, this is kind of the first little taste for a lot of these guys on this trip. So you got to reacquaint yourself with the wave.
Heat leader Ferreira using his priority, high line, down the line, long stretching wall. Fins come a little bit disengaged, and the wave just closes out, so that's not going to help his cause, but he is going to remain in the lead, and the clock's just ticking down. So Italo looking very, very likely to skip that round number 2 and come back from an injury in a brilliant fashion, winning his opening heat, the opening day of the outer-known Fiji Pro. So that's the way to come back from an injury.
Yeah, absolutely. Italo Ferreira just showing us why he's, started the year with a 5th place. Obviously, 3 injuries, 3 missed events back-to-back due to the injury, but he is well and truly back on track. And good to see Italo Ferreira back on tour. I mean, this kid is amazing, especially in waves like this. And I'll tell you what, he took a massive barrel, took a big wipeout, and you can see that ankle strapped up. So obviously not scared to go for it.
Just a warrior in Italo Ferreira. So congratulations. And that's going to be Kolohe Andino as well as Joan Daroug. We're going to see them in round number 2 here at the outer-known Fiji Pro. When we come back, Matt Wilkinson, Jeremy Flores, and Ethan Ewing, heat number 2 coming your way. Welcome back to the outer-known Fiji Pro. We're in round 1, heat number 2. Matt Wilkinson, Jeremy Flores, and the rookie, Ethan Ewing, all taken to the lineup here at Cloudbreak Hypergirl, along with 89 world champ Martin Potter for the call. Now, we were just enjoying some beautiful scenes from Slice of Paradise at Tavarua Island Resort. Let's take a look at some live action as Cloudbreak really coming to life this morning. And Matt Wilkinson dropping in. Wilco draws off the bottom, hooks it off the top, layback snap, off the bottom again, and swooping, a cutback. Has to race down the line now. Comes around this section, and another car for Wilco. Doing well to put together a wave. A tube ride would be an excellent ending, and he does it.
Well, it's the kind of surfing that got him to the finals last year, taking down some big names along the way. John Florence in the semi-finals, eventually falling victim to Gabriel Medina. But this young man has proved his mettle in big solid waves and drops the highest score of the day so far, a 7.17. You know, and that's just classic surfing, classic Wilco surfing, you know, making sure that, you know, rattle off a few turns, got a nice little tube at the end, finish strong. So that's the kind of surfing it's going to take to win heats.
You can see scenes of Glenn Micro Hall in the Namotu boat giving some instruction to Matt Wilkinson on the paddle back out. And Micro cracks a little smile right there, so a sign of a athlete doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, beautiful opening turn. That is just classic Matty Wilco style of surfing, you know, just that got a lot of pizzazz. He's done a lot of hard work in these kind of conditions. He read this wave absolutely perfect as well. You know, positioning his maneuvers well, nice speed, nice flow, and then finds a beautiful tube at the end of this wave. So great stuff there from Matty Wilco. And as I said, the highest score of the day so far is 7.17. Now the judges are keeping the scores relatively low here in the beginning of the day because this swell is going to fill in. It's going to get better as that tide changes, and we're going to see some fantastic waves. So that 7.17 is going to be hard to beat. That was a great wave there from Matty Wilco.
Speaking of tide change, Potts, we are almost at a low tide mark. 8:47 local Fijian time. 8:57 is our low tide as we see Jeremy Flores dropping in to a grinding cloud break wave. Looking down the line, and that thing stretches. Flores is going to do a bit of a leash test there, punching out the back. And right behind him, the rookie. Youngest surfer on tour, 18-year-old Ethan Ewing. Second section and has to eject. So far, dominance by Matt Wilkinson in this heat as we see just a 0.9 drop for Jeremy Flores' open ride and a 1.13 for Ethan Ewing. So looking very strong at the beginning of this heat. And we heard Barton Lynch talk about it, Potts, not surfing for 10s. 7.17 is going to be a keeper in my eyes.
I think it is too. You know, you're looking for these guys, both Ethan's wave as well as Jeremy's wave. You could tell it wasn't going to allow them anything but the barrel. Whereas Matty Wilco's wave had slowed up enough to offer that maneuver.
Flores continues to surf, dragging in the barrel. Can he find an exit? And that cloud break wave just grinds him up, eats up Jeremy Flores. No exit, a little time under the water. We'll see him pop up. There he goes and regather himself.
Jeremy Flores, one of the best backhand tube riders in the world. He's won at Chopu. He's a pipe master. So 2 crazy event wins that he's got on his mantelpiece. 2 very sought after ones. So you don't win those events by not being able to surf the barrel. So Jeremy's going to rely on that skill. I think he knows Matty Wilco maybe has an edge when it comes to those big turns. So he's got his game plan.
Some words from Stephen Bell as Jeremy paddles back out. Right now, we have Barton Lynch with our commissioner, Kieran Perot.
Yes, Kaipo, here with Kieran. Easy job today, mate, eh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what a great morning. Great way to start off the event window. Really good surf. It's supposed to build through the day and actually seems to be cleaning up a little now. And so we're obviously into men's round 1. We'll aim to get that completed today. We may have a chance at round 2, but more likely we'll get this round done. We've got 35-minute heats and come back for a day tomorrow that looks like it's going to be a little bigger and hopefully better.
And talk to us about the longer-term forecast and how the window's looking.
We have a great looking week ahead. We've got tomorrow and the swell dropping off slowly into Tuesday, but another longer period swell that builds up through the end of the week. So we've got plenty of swell on tap. We're going to try and pick the best out of what we've got and get an incredible event.
You hear that, boys? They're going to pick the best. We'll get the second best and we'll all be happy. Well done, Kieran. Stoked. It's going to be a great day, eh?
Yeah, it was already. I mean, the way that it started with the women's final was amazing, and they absolutely charged out there. It was really good to see how committed it was.
Right on. Back to you guys. Thanks, Kieran.
Cheers.
Thanks, BL. And a great-looking forecast, great-looking waves. Cloud break's going to turn on for us here at the Outer Known Fiji Pro, and we are all thankful for that news and all the waves that we've been getting.
All the waves we're going to get.
And all the waves on tap for the future. Let's take a look at the water angle of last of Jeremy.
Jeremy Flores, look at the wave that he's looking for, though. You know, just a big... You can see how it's not really offering him any kind of turns. And that thing running away. I mean, had he sort of forecasted a little bit and raced down the line, he might have been able to get a barrel there. Ethan ditching it as well, a little bit too deep, that one running away. Look at the end section. Stephen Bell, look at Strider, a little bit frustrated. He would love to have been in that tube. And then Jeremy Flores just gets eaten up again. So Jeremy looking for a certain kind of wave out there. I remember yesterday we were surfing and Jeremy was focused on the end section, even in the free surf. So he's sticking to that game plan. He's looking for a certain kind of wave. But you look at what Matty Wilco's doing and you kind of maybe have to change your game plan. Go and sit where Matty Wilco is, get a couple of turns, maybe get that tube on the inside and get yourself back in the heat.
I hear you, Potts. Those slow roll ones that are a little bit more pace is going to allow you some more maneuvers rather than the streamers, the freight trains, right? But the freight trains, I guess that's where the 10s come from.
10s and 2s.
10s and 2s.
So
either or.
You come out, you get a 10. You don't, you're going to get a. Well, look at that. 1.27 for Jeremy and a 1.13 for Ethan Ewing, and then the slow rollers, Matty Wilco, 7.17. So you've got to be thinking about it in the back of your mind. You know, you've got to have obviously your game plan, and if it's not working, change it up. You got 35 minutes. You need 2 waves. Maybe use the first part of the heat looking for those freight trainers. If that doesn't work, use the back part of the heat to try and get yourself back in it.
Saw some stats on Matt Wilkinson from Copacabana, Australia, currently number 5 on the Jeep leaderboard. Started off this season with a runner-up finish at Snapper, and it's just coming off a semifinal finish over in Brazil. So Wilco would lead in this heat and looking good so far in 2017, showing that 2016 was no fluke for this Australian goofy foot. Squares off the bottom and that hook again. Beautiful, but that one just tapers a little bit too much and just offers a 1-turn wave, but he's going to back up that 717. What do you think about that wave selection for Matt Wilkinson, Potts?
Yeah, you know, I think he was obviously thinking that it was going to do exactly what the wave number 1 did, but it kind of split up, didn't it? There's 2 swells running at the moment, and it didn't quite eventuate, but 2.6 is going to give him his 2-wave total, and he's put a lot of pressure on both Jeremy and Ethan. Jeremy needing an 8.5 and Ethan an 8.64. So now both Ethan and Jeremy basically think they need 10s, which pretty much they do.
Eyeing up this end section, just takes a look at it, decides not to go. An illustration of the power here at Cloudbreak. You can hear the water crash, thunderous, and the swells on the rise. Here's a replay of that last wave.
Yeah, beautiful opening maneuver from Matty Wilco. Nice drawn out bottom turn. Just engaging the fins mid-face and hooking into it. As we see this one coming through. Watch the section behind him. Now, if he had taken off further up the reef, he could have got barreled and then done this turn. So these guys are sitting a little bit down the line a bit more, and you can see the bigger ones are breaking further off that outside ledge.
Ethan Ewing, whitewater on the face, and tube seeking, but unable to find one. Young Australian's going to continue to search. He needs an 8.64 if he wants to lead, and he's going to have to continue to search for that excellent score.
Now, traditionally, this wave, it's a wave that you get better with experience. You know, even we'll get back to that.
Wilco off the bottom, pulls in. Nice little tube ride and kicks out, looking to better his 2.6, which he scored on his second wave. He did that on 1 turn. This time, kind of got a little bit of a tube on the edge of it, but went complete. We'll see where the judges go with it.
I like the fact everyone's paddling back out. You don't necessarily need the jet ski unless you get caught inside. That's when you want those guys to come and get you. But if you get out the back of the wave before it shuts down, opting to paddle back out, which then you could sneak one of those corners, those little inside double up barrels, and maybe get a good score underneath the priority.
Matt Wilkinson playing the game nicely, 2.9. He did improve upon the 2.6 on his previous wave, so heightens the requirement for both Jeremy Flores and Ethan Ewing. So just chipping away at it, utilizing some really good heat strategy. And we saw that change with Matt Wilkinson in 2016 when he adopted Glenn Micro Hall as a coach. Always had that talent, but now Wilco really surfing smart heats.
Yep, that's the difference. Structuring his heats way better. You know, you can tell he's going out there with purpose. And at this level, you know, every little bit helps. So there's Jeremy's numbers.
From Reunion Island, France, like Potts said, pipeline master, Tahiti Pro master. He is one of the best backhand tube riders when it comes to serious waves in the entire world. So probably got to be one of your more favorite picks for this event. However, as we look to WorldSurfLeague.com and our fantasy picks, only 17% of you put Flores on your team. Only 5% of you put this young man, Ethan Ewing, on your team. Ewing, after a spectacular year on the qualifying series, in 2016, now on the Dream Tour, has yet to win a heat. So now getting thrown in the pool with the big boys, young Ethan Ewing has really, been learning some lessons.
Yeah, it's a daunting wave, this place called Cloudbreak, and to come here for the first time and have to compete at a high level, it's a wave that sort of you get better when you get that experience. You have to do a couple of strike missions. You have to feel the power of it. You have to get wiped out. You have to get dragged over the reef. You have to snap your board and have to swim in and get it. There's all these factors that come into play that make you more comfortable with this place. If you haven't experienced a bad wipeout at Cloudbreak, it's almost like you're waiting for it to happen, and that's going to hold you back.
Well, I guess I'm learning then, Pots, because I had the bad wipeout and I had to swim in on the reef yesterday.
Well, there you go. All in one session.
All in one session. 19 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Matt Wilkinson still out in the lead. And Cloudbreak taking a little bit of a breather right now. You can see the positioning of the surfers in the lineup. Jeremy Flores, Blue P by his name, gives him first right to the next set that comes through.
I think the thing too is, when you know what to expect at Cloudbreak, you're sitting there with priority, you're not as nervous. You're almost excited because you know what's about to come around that corner. If you're a fresh face here at Cloudbreak, your heart's pounding. You can feel your heart beating in the top of your chest, and those nerves are pumping. You've got the butterflies in your tummy. It's hard to settle yourself down. You've got that short breath, and you can see those waves come around the corner, and you think to yourself, oh my, here we go.
Here we go with some waves coming around. And let's get some words of wisdom from Waz in the channel.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, we were just watching those sets roll down the inside. You guys were talking about those, you get 2s or 10s, and just identifying the gas pedal on those sets. You can see what happens on the inside, and that's how Owen won. He's had 2 perfect heats out here by finding those stretched out walls and really flying down the line when you see that coming. They are makeable. You can make that ball. You just got to really catch that fire and really get into it. As you can see, these bigger ones right now are capping out, and we'll see what happens on the inside here for Wilco as he stalls into the bowl. Look at this beautiful over the handlebars. Just stalled a little too much. Foam ball monster caught him, and that's all she wrote. So there's just so much water moving out here. Just a little bit grabs onto you. I talked to Nat this morning, Young, and he said that these were the biggest waves he's ridden all year. So these guys are just getting a taste of that juice, the taste of the water, what's happening around them. It's just that juice on the reef. Jeremy Flores is going to paddle into a beauty right here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what he's got. He comes off the bottom, stalls it perfectly, lays on that front hand. Beautiful tube ride right there from Jeremy Flores. J-Flow, feeling it.
Thanks, Waz. As we see Flores negotiating the backhand barrel, we're talking about his skill in the barrel, and illustrated that with that last ride. Jeremy looking for 8.8 if he wants to take the lead off of Matt Wilkinson. Some of the best PWC drivers, jet ski drivers in the entire world. He's getting picked up by Kai Garcia, and Kai is going to take him all the way around and deposit him at the top of the reef. Here's another look at Jeremy's wave pots.
Yeah, Ethan's looking for one. Jeremy found one. And a beautiful positioning right there, sliding into the tube ride. We talk about his backside attack, and it is bar none some of the best in the world. Just his positioning, his guts to slow himself down, and it's a serious technique to be able to do that.
Here we go with the rookie Ethan Ewing dropping in. Square barrel this time. Ewing tucks under and comes out. So that's much better on his approach. Follows up with a hook off the top, a little hung up, but goes complete on that before kicking out. So things are heating up, and the challenge is being presented to the heat leader, Matt Wilkinson.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy Flores finally made one, as well as Ethan. That's going to give Ethan a lot of confidence. Let's have a look. Beautiful wave. I mean, have a look at the conditions right now. That's about as good as it gets, and perfect right there. The bottom turn, the snap in the barrel. A lot of guys will take off and slide into it, using the rail, using their body to slow themselves down. That is kind of a new technique that's been sort of perfected over the years. Ethan Ewing doing the old school drop down, bottom turn, snap under the lip. A little bit more difficult, a little bit more critical. There's a lot more going on there, but I like it. I like what I'm seeing.
So what do you think, Potts? I want your opinion. What's more critical? The drag straight off of the takeoff for the barrel, or that bottom turn snap stall?
Well, I think the drag straight away. I mean, it's it's a lot more technical. A lot more can go wrong. The takeoff, you can watch here, takes off, nice bottom turn, and then pulls up nicely. The trick with that is not to pull up too high. You got to sort of mid-face snap. There's a lot of water moving up the face of the wave. If you snap it a little bit too late, you're going to get picked up and over the fall. So there is a lot of technique. Jeremy there, though, different sort of, that was a sort of almost a double back grab, and then slides into it using his body, slowing himself down, sort of almost sitting down on the job. And then once you feel like you've got enough position, you let go and come flying out the end. So Jeremy Flores, technique absolutely beautiful right there. I love that unique sort of lean back double grab in the face of the wave. Jeremy Flores, one of the best backhand tube riders in the world, and he's showing a variation of being able to get tubed.
Here's a water angle for Ethan Ewing.
Yeah, I love it right here. Pulls up nicely. Perfect positioning as well. You can see how they use part of their body to slow themselves down to try and get as deep as possible. The longer you're in the barrel, the more points you're going to get. And that is, that is what you want out here at Cloudbreak. You can see how he draws off the bottom. You want to mid-face it right there. You can see halfway up the face of the wave. Now he leans forward, grabs a rail. Extra point of contact. A lot of guys won't grab it, i.e. Kelly and John. They like to do that no grab, and Ethan just, that extra point of contact gives you that confidence, gives you that stability, helps you hold the rail, helps you hold your line perfectly and drive out of that tube ride.
Judges agreed with you, Potts, on that exchange. Jeremy came on top with a 6.17 and Ethan with a 5.33. Both surfers narrowing the gap on Matt Wilkinson. Jeremy Flores in the blue jersey now needing just a 3.91. Ethan Ewing just a mid-range score of a 4.75, and we're going to stick with Jeremy Flores here, pulling into another medium-sized barrel, threads it well, big section in front of him. That one runs away for Jeremy Flores.
Yeah, unfortunate for Jeremy. That was looking like a good wave. It's one of those straighter ones though, and no foul underneath the priority of Matty Wilco. That's what you got to do. Just keep the hunt going. He's not looking for a big score, 3.91. So Flores right in the game here, as is Ethan Ewing with that 5.33. Got himself back in the game, just needing a 4.75. Let's have a look at what happened with Jeremy driving through that section, and then it just kind of ran away from him. So until this swell kind of works itself out, we're going to see those waves sectioned. You're going to see the odd perfect one, but it's all about picking the right wave. Wave selection this morning is at a premium.
Beauty and the beast out here at Cloudbreak. You can have just presented with a perfect wave, but also some of those beasts that aren't so perfect. It really is, a mixed bag out here as far as waves. So that's why wave selection is so important.
Yeah, wave selection, but then not waiting too long either. There's not a lot of waves coming through, so you kind of got to pull the trigger. You got to get that ball rolling, and sometimes you get the waves that it might not be a good one, but what it does is it just repositions you on the reef, and then all of a sudden a chunk of water comes your way and you get a good score.
Well, we will be back with more of the outer known Fiji Pro. And we got Leo Faravanti preparing for his heat. He's going to be joined by that guy, Ezekiel Lau, as well as one of the most feared competitors out here at Cloudbreak, Owen Wright. That's coming up in heat number 3. Stick around for more surfing action.
The World Junior Championship has long been a barometer for the next class of Championship Tour surfers. For the second year running, this prestigious event will be held in Kiama on the south coast of New South Wales, Australia. Just a 2-hour drive south of Sydney, this pristine coastline is the perfect backdrop for the world's best junior surfers to showcase their skills in a hope to become the next World Junior Champion. You can watch the whole event live on WorldSurfLeague.com and the WSL app.
And with that being said, we have the 2016 World Junior Champ out in the water right now. We're going to return to Kiama, New South Wales, southern part of New South Wales. Beautiful stretch of beach, beautiful town. January 4th through 12th is when we're going to be competing for the 2017 World Junior Champ for both the men and women. And that's going to be live on WorldSurfLeague.com early in 2018. Right now, we have Matt Wilkinson rolling into this cloud break special. Comes off the bottom and a carve off the top. Little jittery on that first turn, winds up off the bottom. Big snap for turn number 2. You can see a little warble in this wave, but it is one of those slow rollers, giving Wilco some opportunity to unleash some big turns. His mission right now is to better his 5.33, because that's the low score currently being held in the score line.
Yeah, you could tell that wave had a very weird sort of line that was going down it, kind of didn't really tube. And Matty Wilco unleashing a couple of big turns. So job done though, bettered his situation. His second highest score was a 2.90, so dropped a 5.33 on this occasion. You can see that sort of weird sort of chop going across it. Didn't really allow Matty Wilco any kind of tube, but a lot of damage done. 5.33, great score. Now puts Ethan and Jeremy in a situation where they're looking for something pretty good. A 6.3 for Jeremy and a 7.18 for Ethan. So job done there for Matty Wilco. That's what you got to do, just keep improving your situation. Every time you catch a wave with priority, you need to better your second highest score.
Great heat construction, and right when Jeremy Flores and Ethan Ewing just needed mid-range scores, been pushed up into the good range for both Flores and Ewing. So impressed. I've always been impressed by Matt Wilkinson's surfing. I'm really impressed in 2016 and in 2017 on the way that Wilco is able to construct these heats.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. You know, I think all these guys on the tour have the ability to win events, and the difference really is you know how you put it all together. Everyone's super talented, but it comes down to your game plan. It comes down to your wave choice, your maneuver selection, just your decision making. Really, really important in that 30 minutes.
Red number 8 out in the water. He had the yellow Jeep Leaders jersey last year at this event. Let's take a look at his performances in 2016.
Yeah, conditions were absolutely amazing here last year, and Matty Wilco stepped up and got some incredible waves. And as I said before, taking down some big names out here at Cloud Break, guys that you wouldn't have guessed. But Matty Wilco is showing why he is going to be a world title threat in many years to come. Starting to perfect his game. You know, even though he didn't win a world title last year, he held that yellow jersey for quite some time. He's got to be proud of that. He's got to take away a lot of confidence. Most improved on tour by a mile. And with barrels like this, I mean, look at that. Flying through. Are you kidding me? Matty Wilco. And this one here, I mean, look at Cloud Break. This is what we got to expect over the next few days. This place is going to light up, Kaipo. Out of 10, it's about a 5 today. So you can only imagine it's going to get better and better.
Lot more potential out here, and every goofy footer's dream just to pump through a Cloud Break barrel just the way you saw.
Hang on a sec.
Matty Wilkinson.
Every natural footer's dream too.
A little bit different on the backhand. I would say a bit more challenging, actually, although we've seen, you know, great performances by the regular foots.
There's only 2 winners on the backhand, Kelly and Andy.
So actually that shows you the challenge, because it's not as straightforward of a barrel as, say, a pipeline. You really have to change your line. You have to pump through slow and fast sections. We can see Matt Wilkinson's track record out here at Cloud Break.
Yeah, look at the results, okay? From 2012 up to 2015, there were throwaways for Matty Wilco. And then something clicked, and in 2016, made it to the finals up against Gabriel Medina. But in those big 8-foot pumping barrels, he took down one of the favorites in John Florence.
A lot to be said about that.
Wow.
A lot to be said about that for Matt Wilkinson. He's in the lead right now, and we're at the 5-minute mark, Potts. So both Flores and Ethan Ewing are going to have to do some quick work. Next heat up. Owen Wright, Ezekiel Lau, and Leonardo Fioravanti, 2 rookies against one of the most, I would say, outstanding and established cloud break surfers of all time. He's in his comeback year, however, in 2017. Number 3, Owen Wright.
The last time this guy surfed this wave, he owned it. So I'm looking for that again. I'm looking to see him just pick up where he left off, which he did this year so far. Came out from the injury and won the first event on tour. Saw him out there yesterday, absolutely going for it. And just does not have 1 ounce of pullback in his game. He just goes pedal to the metal. 2 perfect heats out here at Cloudbreak. Took down Julian Wilson in the final, got a perfect heat in the final. Amazing stuff from Owen.
Let's take a look at what's happened so far in this heat number 2, Potts.
Well, Matty Wilco came out the blocks firing with a 7.17. Smart surfing from him. Found one of those waves that just slowed up, got the ball rolling, found that groove. A couple of beautiful turns from Matty Wilco. Read this wave absolutely perfect. Watch this turn to barrel combo here. Big snap over the ledge, bottom turns, nice little cover up through the inside, just adding points as he goes down the line. Jeremy Flores looking for those 10-point rides. That looks like pipeline, doesn't it? Big barrel there from Jeremy Flores, belly right in the wave with him as he comes flying out the end, drops his 6.17, gets himself back in the heat. And Ethan Ewing, 5.33 on this occasion. Beautiful bottom turn, mid-face snap, and then just perfect slotted in the barrel. Comes out, but it's not enough. They still both are looking for waves. A 6.34 for Jeremy, a 7.18 for Ethan. And this is why. Smart surfing here from Matty Wilco. 2.9 was his backup up until this point. Found this wave and just really just rattled off a couple of nice turns. Nothing too crazy, nothing too special, but enough to have him with the lead in 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining.
Pull away shot of Cloudbreak, and the whole story as far as scores. 5 waves being ridden by Matt Wilkinson, 4 for Jeremy Flores, and 3 for Ethan Ewing. The green highlighting their top 2 rides. And that's how we surf heats. It takes two good scores or above if you want to come out of these heats. The prize at the end of this 35 minutes is first place goes to round number 3 and doesn't have to deal with that dreaded round number 2 man-on-man elimination heats, which could serve you a 25th, and nobody wants a 25th.
Yeah, I've always said that round 1 is not a round you can win the event, but it's definitely a round you could lose. And that dreaded round 2 you talk about, there's that added pressure, especially for a lot of the top seeds. It's it's definitely a bad result. So there's that added pressure, and you just don't want to be there. So you're better off coming out the blocks firing in round 1. Just put your foot down and make sure you win that heat. But you're dealing with a moving playing field. Cloudbreak is such a massive lineup. I mean, there's literally from out the back where you can take off to the inside sections, we're to about 500 yards of space to move. So to find the right spot is a very tricky thing to do. And
looking at the yardage pots, we can see the next heat actually paddling past Matt Wilkinson to the top of the reef. View high from above from our pilot Eric Sturman and our cameraman of the drone Daniel Lee, both bringing us these visions from above that we really get a great illustration of how broad this expansive reef is at Cloudbreak.
Well, Owen Wright knows this wave like the back of his hand, so he's going to go up the top. He's going to keep that inside position, and he's going to drop the first score, and that's kind of his game plan. You can see both Owen and the surfer in white paddling way up there.
Down to 40 seconds. And it looks highly likely that Matt Wilkinson's going to skip round number 2, second Goofy Foot winner of the morning. First heat being won by Italo Ferreira. Now Wilco. things are looking bright for him to take a round off. And now he just has to prepare for his round 3 matchup.
Yeah, great surfing from Matty Wilco. And it's not over yet. Hang on a sec. There's a little bit of a wave approaching the lineup. 7.18 for Ethan Ewing. He's got priority time ticking down now. Is he going to let this one go? Yes, he is. No, he's not. He's going to go. And he's up.
Ewing, this one's going to count. He needs a 7.18. Big score needed. And not that potential on that wave, so the standings are going to remain the same as we end this heat. Matt Wilkinson taking the win. And that's a nice little way to come in. Backhand barrel, but Jeremy Flores is going to have to prepare himself for a matchup in round number 2. And here's Matt Wilkinson. Little victory lap for Wilco. Sound the horn is the start of the next heat, heat number 3. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with that heat number 3. Owen Wright, Ezekiel Lau, Leonardo Fioravanti, Rosie, and Ronnie coming in for the call.
Welcome back to the Outerknown Fiji Pro. The men's event is underway. Heat 3 hitting the lineup with Owen Wright looming large on the Jeep leaderboard. Last time he was here in Fiji, he had 2 perfect heats on finals day and took the win. He's up against 2 very exciting rookies, Ezekiel Lau and Leonardo Fioravanti. It should be a fantastic battle. Owen Wright, he's won 50% of his first round heats in 2017. We're yet to see Zeke or Leo claim a victory in the first round in 2017. They're going to be hoping for a big change up there. Ronnie Blakey with Rosie Hodge. Rosie, what a busy morning we've had. We crowned a women's champion straight off the bat, and then 2 very strong heats for goofy footers to kick off men's round 1.
Well, it's down to business. I mean, just crowning Courtney Conlog was amazing this morning, but to see round 1 hit the water, I'm happy to see it all go down. And Owen Wright, his first wave of this event, setting up for this beautiful ride, threading that barrel, coming out. He's got such a good rapport with this wave. You see that swooping cutback, just so much style and grace in that lanky frame of Owen Wright. Just gets gobbled up in the end there. But, you know, feet in the wax, that's what we like to say. That first ride from him, I think he's going to better that throughout this clash.
Definitely has a great relationship on this wave. You can see has that silky smooth approach, that great pace. Let's see how Leo goes. Tucking into the barrel himself. Trying to punch through the curtain. A lot of water in that section though, and he goes down and misses. The second barrel length section on offer there. Plenty of time on the clock though, 30 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here. A 3.67 for Owen Wright to kick things off. A throwaway 1-point ride for the Italian. Watching on from home, Rosie, you took a couple of events off there to tie the knot, but Owen Wright, what'd you make of his performance on the Gold Coast?
Honestly, Ronnie, I had no idea what to expect, but from that first round performance, Owen Wright, I think it was so enlightening just to see his form coming back to the competition jersey. I think we were all kind of waiting with bated breath to see his return, and what a story. I mean, I couldn't help, just absolutely breaking down when Owen Wright won and hugged his family on the podium, and it was just such an emotional return to competition and just so great to see him back where he belongs.
It was a remarkable turn to competition. We weren't sure if Owen Wright would ever put the jersey on again. But after a long period of time away from not only competition surfing, but from surfing in general, he came back in impressive form, and here he goes again. On his second ride, already finding some cover and ducking under the lip again, deep in the barrel this time. He'll go down. So doesn't find the exit on this second ride, but he will get some points from that first section.
He already looks like he's having the best time out here at Cloudbreak. Has that lightness and just, it seems just that added bit of fun back in his surfing. Just can see him snaffling that wave away from his competitor. Just a long time stalling and setting up for that barrel. He eyes off this elbow in the reef for another barreling section. Unfortunately, that's where he just gets clipped.
Not a lot of room to move inside the tube there for the 6'3" tall Owen Wright, but he just finds his place in those tighter pockets and still finds room to move, get that board really weaving, generating speed. But even for Owen, that second section was a big ask, and he went down. But he got a 4.03 for threading that barrel on the outside, and he's out in front now. So Leonardo Fioravanti chasing a 6.7, and Zeke Lau, who's been very patient up top here, he needs a 7.7 to jump from third place to first. The win is what these competitors are after. They want to jump round two. Especially Leo. He's had a lot of trouble with the second round in 2017. It's been a bit of a surprise, really. We're so used to seeing him basically progress through the early stages of CT events. Even as a wild card and alternate last year, he did very well in the earlier rounds. But here we go. Let's see what he can do with this one. Takes a nice high line trim to set up this section on the inside. He's going to grab that rail. He tucks into the barrel, still gunning through this one, but it's going to get away from him. It's a little bit like Jeffreys Bay, the kind of speed you can generate on this wave, Rosie. You really are just flexing your equipment, your fins when you're out here, kind of going as fast as you really can on a wave.
Definitely, you can kind of get that high line and it slingshots you through the wave face. I think tempo is so important out here, and placement of moves and where you place yourself on the reef too.
Smaller wave there, and a quick inspection from Zeke Lau, but making no effort to get into it, so he maintains that priority up top. He's going to want to really capitalise when he elects to commit to a ride here. Let's have a look at the replay of Lassa White.
Yeah, let's have a glimpse of Leo's speed, the way he gathers it there. You can see him trying to burn some of it off and really set up this barrel. Tries to step on it there, puts that front foot forward on that surfboard just to get a bit more speed, but there was no exit. That wave closes out completely. But here you see him just biding his time, waiting for this barrel, and there you can see just that forward motion. He pretty much dives off, knows there's no exit.
Well, just considering the rookie class, I think based on his performances last year with those wildcard opportunities, a lot of people had Leo pegged for the Rookie of the Year title, but he's really struggled, as has one of the other hyped rookies, Ethan Ewing. Both those competitors haven't been past the second round this season. Zeke Lau, he came alive at Bells Beach to get himself a semi-final finish there. That's keeping him in 16th position at this stage, but the front runner for the Rookie of the Year title at this point in time was the winner of the QS last season, Connor O'Leary. Came out of the gates very strong on the Gold Coast and has managed to avoid round 2 losses in the other 3 events. That's kept him a little higher on the leaderboard in 15th position.
Yeah, what a contrasting story between, you know, Zeke's rookie start to this year and Leo. I think we've been, you know, anticipating Leo to do very well. Like you mentioned, he had those few starts as a wild card, one at Margaret River where he took down Kelly Slater and made it all the way to, you know, quarterfinals, semifinals finishes. And I think you just look at the way that Zeke's gone about his year, getting that third at Bells. He was such a strong contender. And then also Connor O'Leary has just lit up, you know, our expectations for him and really seen him make a mark where we've had a lot of expectation placed on Leonardo and Ethan Ewing just by way of their performances that they put on last year.
Martin Potter made mention of it earlier on. You know, you can't win the event in the first round, but I mean, especially for the lower seeds, getting a victory here in round 3 can really set you on your way, because if you find yourself down the back end of the ratings, like Leo at the moment, if you bomb out here, you're coming up against the title contenders in the second round. Any top seeds that trip up in round 1 are going to meet you in round 2. So avoiding those huge battles is key, because you're going up against form, you're going up against confidence, and it's really hard to pull it all together.
Yeah, and just chatting to Luke Egan yesterday, who's Connor O'Leary's coach, he was just highlighting some of, you know, the wave scores and moments where Connor really shone. And it's crazy how much confidence as a rookie you can gain just from good waves that you've had with the competitor's jersey on. I think that really is, you know, the framework and the foundation of what you can work upon. I think for Leo right now, he's carrying those 25th and it's weighing heavily on him. He needs to maybe reflect on events where he's done well and bring that into the season at this point.
Beautiful conditions on offer here for day 1 of the H2-4 Fiji Pro. And it looks like it's just getting better and better with that wind backing off. This is Zeke Lau using priority for this one. He waited a long time, over 10 minutes for that rod, and he's gone down on the first turn. He won't be happy with himself. It was a good looking wall that he had laid out in front of him as well.
The first turn was solid. You can see that little kick, that body language telling us that he's not impressed with himself falling off on that last wave. Let's get eyes on what happened here. You can see him just swing the shoulders, pivot off that, and then he's already looking down the line before he's completed that maneuver and doesn't anticipate that little rib in the face or gets gobbled from underneath him.
Well, up top here, Leonardo Fioravanti driving into this section, but he doesn't have priority. And Owen Wright, he's going to block him and tuck into the barrels, still rolling, but it looks like he's been tangled up with the foam ball there. And it looked like for sure he was going to come out of that thing. It was such a slow barrel. It wasn't one of those ones that was reeling off across the inside, but Owen, I think he was just stalling his guts out inside that thing.
Watch the comfort level on this wave from Owen Wright. Probably a little bit baffled that he didn't make the exit on that one. Let's just see, Leo wanted it, had to give way. Owen Wright just tucks in, finds that double hand stall, just sits in that barrel, just really taking in the view. Let's have another look. Leo opts out. Owen just straight into this thing, just tucks underneath that lip. Let's see where he gets a little bit pinched. It can get a little bit almondy there, and he's evaporated by that wave.
It's not a gentle foam ball out there either. It's got a lot of turbulence, and it looked like it just kicked him up into the lip of the wave. 20.5 minutes to go. Owen's still out in front, but a lost opportunity to drop the biggest number of the heat there.
Yeah, something, that's been repeated over and over this past week is anticipating. I think at Cloudbreak, you always have to be, have your wits about you. There's kind of bumps coming up the face. There's different angles on this wave, different sections of the reef that you've always got to be aware of.
Just over 20 minutes to go. Owen still out in front. Priority back with Zeke Lau now. He's chasing still a 6.77, to jump up into first place. And Leonardo needs a 6.47. Right now, though, let's hear from the winner of that last heat, a finalist here in 2016. It's Matt Wilkinson with Barton Lynch.
Matty Wilkinson, heat windy. Love this life.
I do. This place is so good. You can't, I don't know, if the waves were flat, you'd be over on the island just living it up, but the waves are nearly always pumping, so I don't know, it's the best place ever. You can't kind of, when you're a kid, you draw pictures of perfect waves with little islands in the foreground, and that's exactly what we got.
Tell us about the conditions out there this morning and your heat.
Yeah, I knew that it was pretty tricky watching the first few. There were a lot of barrels that weren't made, so when that first one came, I was like, this doesn't really look like a tube, but I thought if I put some big turns on the board, it'd give me a good little start, and that's what happened. I got a 7, which was kind of better than I expected for turns. I thought they would have really wanted barrels, but yeah, and then I went out and I had a few little kind of fall-offs and weird ones, and then got a little back up, but there were some crazy waves out there. They were just like, I don't know, if you're in the spot for those good ones, there's some big round tubes. It's just really hard to be like, I don't know, you drag at the start and then you're too deep for the big bit. I think by the end of the week we'll all have it sorted, but first morning there's a few people taking some strange lines, but it's good fun.
Good to skip around, mate, get the win straight off the bat, or would you rather surf another heat?
I don't know, you never want to be in round 2, but you also want to surf there as much as you can, so skipping the round's definitely good. It looks like we're going to have waves the whole time, so I'll have a little bit of FOMO in round 2, but then if I lose in round 2, then I wouldn't have been very happy watching the rest of the comp, so hopefully I can just surf as many heats as I can.
Matty Wilco taking the win. Congrats, mate.
Thank you.
Woohoo. Cheers, Barton. Matt Wilkinson, like all the competitors this morning, really feeling the buzz because everyone loves coming back here to the Fiji Pro. Great to have Out-O-Known on board this season as well. Of course, founded by Kelly Slater. It is a clothing brand that explores the connection between style and sustainability, and a fitting event for Kelly to get behind. But during that interview, Owen Wright tapped into the best wave of the heat.
Poof, he comes out just gaining some travel time in that barrel. The cutback was just the kind of cherry on top. But Owen, look at just the way that he approaches this wave. The level of comfort is undeniable for him. That little bit of spit just blowing the hair back, and that grab rail cutty, just raw power from Owen.
Almost blew it off completely. Here we go. This is Leonardo now on the replay.
Oh,
he got himself a solid
wave.
bomb. How's that spit?
Oh, that first section, Leo just did so well. You see that speed that he's thrown out with, almost a little bit of a speed wobble. He grabs the rail again, and that's where it's just clamping down a little bit. But Leo did so well on that top section to get barreled with a lot of speed. This is why we come to Cloudbreak, these waves.
And here goes Zeke Lau, live action. This wave's starting to open up a little bit for the Hawaiian. He'll punch through the end section and now try and drop some big turns on the inside to push this score a little higher. There is a solid hit as the wave shuts down. So numbers starting to roll through for our competitors with just over 16 minutes to go. Owen Wright bagging a 5.5. The judges really leaving some room in the scale for a big throaty barrel. The Italian Leonardo, he dropped a 6.33. Just finding a slightly bigger section on the outside there and waiting on the numbers to roll through for the man wearing the number 86. Let's have another look at this ride.
Yeah, Zeke tries with all his might to just squeeze himself into this barrel, that turquoise wall, and then finding the exit, a tiny little shampoo there. But Zeke, this power turn is a snapshot into what he's capable of. Just such a strong competitor. You see this wave start to open up, and Zeke just parks himself inside of it. That's that little section that's been tricky, so Zeke does well to come out of that wave, come out of that barrel, but here, just lights it up with his rail work.
A lot of payoff for those bigger barrels though. And Zeke's score, it falls pretty short of what Owen and Leonardo were able to achieve. He gets a 3.9. I'd say the bulk of the number came on that last manoeuvre there on the inside. The barrel, it was a bit of a kind of a clamping sort of high line barrel. It wasn't breaking top to bottom.
Smaller wave, we've seen a couple sets roll through. It's overhead, and yeah, you mentioned the bulk of the points coming for that maneuver, which is also an indication of, you know, when you combo it all up, the scores that these surfers are capable of.
I was mentioning Out and Owen's involvement with this event, and it's a fitting partnership with the islands of Tavarua and Namotu, because the managers on both islands do such a good job at keeping this area clean and safe. There's a big initiative here happening on the reef at Tavarua at the moment to regenerate the clam population in the area, which was eradicated due to, well, basically just a big clean out. Obviously, they're sought after, highly valued, poachers getting into the reef and getting the clams, but the fisheries here in Fiji have identified Tavarua as one of the cleanest reefs in all of Fiji, and they're bringing a lot of clams out to this area and planting them on the reef in cages so people can't get to them. They have security watching over those caged areas so people can't get in at night and clean them out, and it's really good to see. Here we go, live action out the back once again. Zeke Lau finding some cover. He's deep, tucking in once again, almost punching through the curtain there, but doesn't get the exit. So this heat is still anybody's with just over 13 minutes to go. And it is the Italian who hasn't had a round one win this season who's sitting in the driver's seat, Rosie. He has priority. He's got the highest scoring ride. If he can make this next wave count, it's going to make life difficult for Owen and Zeke.
Yeah, and just chatting to Leo, he arrived on the island a few days ago, and he was outright in saying that this is one of his favorite places on the planet. So you talk about those events that we all look forward to. Leo just has been anticipating his start at the Out and Known Pro.
Well, here we go, Zeke, a big drop, a late committed drop, and then straight into the barrel. It's a better wave for the Hawaiian. This should already be his best score. Drives off the bottom into these steeper sections down the line. It's going to kick out there as the wave shuts. But a really good start to that ride. We saw some good numbers thrown at Leonardo on his last ride. I think this one should be pretty close. Love that takeoff.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get that kind of first look at this wave and you get in early, it can really set you up. It gives you that beat to have a look at what you can anticipate.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure people were scrambling this morning to get their fantasy teams together. 12% of people throwing Zeke in the mix. I'm sure Owen Wright maybe had a few more people backing him to do well in this contest as he tucks in a great read on this one. Picks his moments so well out here, Owen Wright. Fits in that turn to set up the barrel on the inside, waiting on numbers to roll through. 4.27 for Zeke Lau, so just needs to find a bit more cover. He had the right idea with that last wave, Rosie, but just wasn't behind it for long enough.
Yeah, totally. I think as soon as priority swings in Zeke's favor, he's going to have to think about his wave selection. All the elements are there for him, but let's just watch this deep takeoff straight into the throat of it. Holds that line. Does well to come around this section. That's where he gets a little bit hung up there. Didn't really give him that critical section where he could just blast that board into the lip. But here, he finds that steeper section. His best wave of the heat so far. And then Owen Wright. We just talk about how he just bides his time, cuts into the face of that wave and finds that cover. He makes it look so effortless.
I guess you got to think too, just about that exchange between Owen Wright and Zeke Lau. Zeke had that outside section, a much tougher drop to get into that wave, but perhaps didn't get deep enough to get the judges excited. Owen Wright, he got very deep. Does feel like Cloud Break's one of those waves where you don't necessarily collect the points on the outside section. The wave can stand up, it can actually grow inside as it rolls down the line through middles and right through to shish kebabs there. You can really find some big barrels, and there's scoring opportunity right across this lineup.
Yeah, you've always got to think about what the wave can offer you and pick your line accordingly.
Exactly. 9.5 minutes to go. Owen Wright out in front. Zeke Lau and Leonardo Fioravanti are chasing. We got a medium-sized wave approaching, but we'll see if any of our competitors can get into that set in just a moment. Great to have you back for the Out and On Fiji Pro. Great to have Owen Wright back too. This is his performance on finals day back in 2015. He went on to win the event this day. Mind-blowing stuff.
He was unstoppable. There was no way that you couldn't say that Owen Wright was going to go on to win this event. Just his performance, just picking up 2 perfect heats. There have only been 9 ever in the history, and Owen Wright did it twice in one event.
Amazing. That one stand-up pit was my favourite. All the style in the world. Disappeared behind the foam ball and then was spat out. He was having such a good time out here. It was setting up an incredible run. Of course, we know that he didn't get the opportunity to battle for that world title. He was in contention going to the final event, the Pipe Masters that year. And, well, after suffering a head injury before the contest kicked off at Pipe, he had a very, very long road to recovery. It took him a long time just to get back out there on the board. But a thrilling return at Event 1 this year. Saw him go on to get the win, and he's been ultra consistent, sitting in second spot on the ratings, along with Adriano De Souza and Geordie Smith. He's hanging on to a win and a couple of quarterfinal finishes as his best results, also a 9th. But John Florence is still out in front on the back of a first and a couple of semi-final finishes. So he has the edge over his rivals at the moment. During the break, Leo had this one.
Oh, Leo finding the shade with a little steezy exit there. Already got the 6.33, the best wave of the heat so far. Can't wait to see what he drops in for that one.
Well, that was that advantage, just reaching the halfway mark and holding on to that single best score, and then holding priority at the back. We're waiting on the numbers to roll through. Leo just charging straight past his rivals here. And it looks like it's going to be another reasonable score. Nothing in the excellent range just yet, but still a bit of time to go here. A 6.17. Leo will be looking for more. He'll know that he's out there against two surfers that really excel when there's a bit of size in the ocean. Owen just needs a 7 to get into the lead. Zeke Lau after an 8.23, 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, Leo just coasting past his competitors in third priority, pushing way up the point.
So we've already seen one of the top 5 progress directly through to round 3. Got some big heats to come. Adriano de Souza also in equal second position on the ratings. He's coming up in the next heat, up against Kanoa Igarashi and Bino Lopez, who gets the call up once again with Kaio Belli out due to an ankle injury. There is Adriano, surfs so well out here. He's had some solid finishes in this event in the past and running high on confidence after taking out the Oi Rio Pro. The last stop on the championship tour schedule.
Yeah, fresh haircut. He probably shaved it so the people on the Motu couldn't give him
a horrible haircut.
Yeah. Good choice. Yeah, it was good to see, you know, Adriano's form in that last contest, seeing himself climb up the ratings.
Just over 4 minutes to go, and at this stage of the game, Leonardo holding on to the lead with a 6.33 and a 6.17. Let's check in with a man that has claimed 17 championship tour wins. Barton Lynch, how are you?
Oh, I'm great, Blakey. How could you not be? We're out here on the boat, and interesting to watch the morning and see the scores and how you would think the judges are being quite low with their scoring. I suppose like we saw at North Point and other places, they understand the value and the quality of what can go on out there. Oh, see some barrel there. Who was that one? Leonardo. Yeah, and there's more on the outside, so I'll leave it to you guys to call this, and maybe we'll have a chat about that in just a minute.
That'd be great, Barton. We'd love that. Just over 3 minutes to go. Leo getting quite a bit of barrel time there, and, you know, it's going to be a decent number. Keep in mind he was sitting out there, third priority, so just took a chance on that wave, and he might get the payoff. He might increase his lead here.
Yeah, that was cheeky. Leo just paddling past everyone and snaffling that one from right underneath their noses. Look at these waves stacking up.
Here is a solid set, the biggest we've seen today, and Owen Wright is all over it, driving off the bottom, stalling under the lip. This thing's going to spit in a big way, and the Australian comes charging out onto the open face, lays down a full rail carve, and he kicks out. So that should be a solid number, a solid wave. Surfed very well. Leo still enjoying some barrel time on the inside, still waiting for his last ride to come through, so waiting to find out if Owen Wright was chasing more than a 7 with his wave. But what about the timing, Rosie, the composure and the ability just to read that first section? He didn't get overexcited and charge into that first barrel. He knew it was going to clamp, but when it opened up, he was right there under the lip.
Right there, just the composure. And you think about, you know, Owen Wright and recovering and you know, we saw him at North Point take a couple heavy beatings, but other than that, I mean, waves of consequence, we haven't seen him compete in that just yet. And to see the way that he approaches this, see that low, he just elects to get past this section, but then really just sets it up in this one. I love that under the hook stall, the hoof of the, just spitting him out. Owen Wright, that grab rail cutty. Beautiful composure from him.
Here it is from the water, Rosie. Break it down.
You know, let's just see how he kind of negotiates that section. Just that split-second decision to get out of the way of that lip, but just stalls right underneath this thing. Oh, that thing was dark inside the barrel. Owen just negotiates this grab rail cutty. just for that added extra point of difference. So good to see his return. Here we get another aerial view of the antics of Owen Wright, looking to get back in the lead on this wave after Leo got the front run on this heat, but you'd have to say that was one of the better waves of the heat so far. We'll wait for the score to drop in.
Well, 45 seconds to go here. We're going to swing back into live action. Leo taking one on the inside. He did manage to up the ante just a little bit with his last ride. His previous wave, a 6.27. That left Owen Wright chasing a 7.1. And Owen is going to get the number he needs. He drops an 8.5. So gets himself up into the excellent range. And he is now in front with just on 15 seconds to go. Leonardo now looking for a 7.68. Zeke Lau after a 9.73. 10 seconds to go. And it looks like Owen is going to get the jump on his lesser experienced rivals in this first round. And Ezekiel Lau and Leonardo Fioravanti are going to be relegated to round 2. But what an effort from Owen. The biggest wave rolled his way. Really read that first section well. Drove around it and set up a solid pit. As you said, Rosie, with a bit of cloud cover out there, it was pretty gloomy. He needs a headlamp for his next heat. But we are going to take a quick break. And when we return, Adriano de Souza, Kanoa Igarashi and Bino Lopez will hit the lineup. Entering our second week here in Fiji, and life is good. We had beautiful weather for the women's event. Not the best waves, but we saved the final for the first heat of the day today, the first day of the men's window, and we saw Courtney Conlog get a victory over Tatiana Weston-Webb. She continues her amazing run, Courtney. A real return to form there. But into the men's event now, Rosie Hodge, and already we've seen some big performances. I think the most exciting performance so far just happened in that last heat. Owen Wright getting that 8.5.
Definitely. I mean, what a return to Fiji for Owen Wright. Cloudbreak just making it straight through into round number 3 and just picking up where he left off after those, the perfect 20 that he scored in 2015 in the final.
Let's hear from the man now. He's out there in the channel with Strider Wasilewski.
Thanks, Ronnie. Yeah, well, welcome back, Owen.
Yeah, thanks. That was
nice to have first seat back out at Fiji again. Felt good. It's pretty broken up, but there's definitely a couple.
It seemed like you were just getting in the groove as you started the heat, and then wave by wave, you seemed to kind of build your confidence and knowledge back on the reef.
For sure, that's kind of been like my theme this year, just like build and I caught a few to start with. One, you know, I was a little bit like too wide, like not deep enough, and then I went a little too deep, and then I finally found the spot on the last one, and yeah, just snuck under the lip and snuck through there.
Well, good, great heat win, and welcome back, and it's great to have you back out here. Maybe a couple perfect 10s again.
I hope so. Like we got the swell forecast for it, and yeah, if the lines clean up a little bit, like it's just a bit like a beach break right now. I was sitting down the end section a little bit more and kind of watching waves barrel at me, but yeah, that last one, I'm glad I sat down there for it, and yeah, that's what got me through.
All right, well, congrats, and we'll see you in the next round, bud.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you, Strider. Owen Wright collecting some big results already this season. A win here in Fiji. He's also been collecting some kgs. He's stacking the weight back on. We saw he was pretty skinny at the start of the year, but has really packed on some kilos, getting that muscle tone back together and looking very powerful out there on the open face. Right now, though, we want to introduce Heat 4 of round 1, Adriano de Souza, currently sitting in second place on the Jeep leaderboard, up against Kanoa Igarashi and Bino Lopez, who earns his place in the draw by way of an injury replacement. Poor old Kyle Belly. He's done his ankle surfing down in El Salvador for an equipment test thing down there, and unfortunately had to withdraw from the event, which is very unfortunate, seeing as though he cracked the final at Bells Beach. We're going to miss you, Kyo, but let's see how Bino fares. It is his second CT event this season, Rosie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so unfortunate for Kyo inside that top 10, withdrawing from the event. But Bino, I mean, he was one of the standouts on the QS last year, finds his way as an injury replacement. What a call to get. You're in the event for Cloudbreak. I think Kyo only pulled out a couple days ago, so he wouldn't have much time to prepare.
The ultimate call-up event. As we go now to the lineup and see Adriano de Souza, the man in red. Good backhand barrel riding form, takes that high line exit. And there's that very effective pin drop to get out of the wave.
Yeah, Adriano, I remember last year spending a lot of time in this lineup during the ladies event window. He came over early. It's just so important to have a good read and have a bit of experience out here in this lineup. Let's get another look at his prowess in the barrel. You see that front leg, just controlling that speed, high line out of the barrel. Just get to see the work done inside this barrel. So crucial to stay high on that little section.
This was 3.83. This wave ridden during the break earlier on. Just a quick pit, and he is out of there. But de Souza, an incredible backhand attack. He has a really nice drawn out bottom turn. It sets up a good vertical approach to the pocket, and his barrel riding's just gotten better and better the last few years. Of course, collecting a Pipe Masters title in his world title year.
Yeah, definitely works hard at his craft. Adriano de Souza, after every interview, he just talks about the hard work that he's putting in and the hard work that he expects to do.
Kind of had a bit of a sleepy look about him in 2016. And saying that, he coasted to a pretty decent finish just outside the top 10. But you could tell he was really just enjoying a bit of a victory lap from his world title year. This year, though, he has come out strong. Despite the fact he fell out of the mix with a 9th on the Gold Coast, where he usually places very well. Back-to-back quarterfinals at the remaining Australian events, and obviously a win in Brazil has him in a great position to go after a second world title. How do you like his chances?
Adriano is such a fierce competitor. I would never, not put him in the conversation of a world title.
Well, here we go. Let's see what Bino could do out here at Cloudbreak. Not a lot of experience out here, but we've seen people come here in their first year and go on to great results. Thinking back to Italo Ferreira the Brazilian, everyone was questioning whether he'd be able to get it done in solid surf. And, well, you saw him in the first round, the first heat of the day. He went nuts, and that was the same as his rookie effort here.
Yeah, here we go, Bino. You can see he's elected to take a longer board out and just gets gobbled up. Yeah, it is so fun just seeing people, you put low expectations on them and they blow down the doors. I mean, Italo was one of those surprise packages in his rookie year, his performance out here, and then also in Tahiti. I don't think I did an interview with him where he didn't come out of the water just covered in blood but with a huge smile on his face. The guy is an animal.
So a quick lead for De Souza, a 4.33 and a 3.83. Looking forward to seeing how Kanoa Igarashi goes in this heat. He's another one of those young upstarts on the championship tour who had an amazing finish to last season. A second place at the Pipe Masters to Michelle Perez.
That was an absolute dream run for Kanoa, and also in turn helping along Zeke Lau, ensuring his place on the championship tour.
The one thing that's going to really be hard for Kanoa to turn around, and probably he just has to tap back into the confidence that saw him avoid a round 2 loss all last season. This year he's had a couple already on the Gold Coast and down at Bells Beach. So hopefully that isn't scar tissue, mental scar tissue he can't overcome. Surfing very well.
Yeah, we think back to the trip he did here last year with Leo and Kelly Slater on a big swell. So he's got a bit of experience in this lineup. Kanoa does. I think that really will play in your favor when you come in a heat situation, just the time that you've spent out here in the water at Cloudbreak.
Just on 24.5 minutes remaining, that last heat, we saw some beautiful barrel rides, but only one getting into the excellent range. Head judge Richie Porter joins us now. And Rich, what was the difference between Owen Wright's wave and some of the better barrels we saw from Leonardo Fioravanti and Zeke Lau in that last heat?
Yeah, good morning, Ron. Morning, Rosie. If you have another look at that wave that Owen got, it was such a larger and thicker wave. You know, I'm having another look at it now, and it's way, way, way overhead. He sort of has to chase it down the line, and then he pulls in, and it is a thick barrel. And we're chasing those thick barrels. And when you watch this place on the Vision, a lot of the waves look really easy, but when you sit out here in our little tower on the lagoon, there's hard waves, there's easy waves, and everyone knows who's surfed out here, that's the case as well. So the really hard, thick waves are the ones that score higher up the scale, because that was such an intense barrel. It wasn't the longest barrel of the heat by any means, but it was the thickest and the best looking barrel we saw for this morning.
I made the point during that heat, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Cloudbreak seems to be one of those ways where you're less concerned if a surfer, like Owen Wright did, drives around that opening section. It seems like there's really good scoring opportunity at different parts of this wave, not necessarily just the takeoff.
Yeah, this wave that's part of the amazing aspect of this wave. There's sections all over the shop out there, and all the waves that come in aren't the same. So it's a really tricky thing for the surfers to find the right wave that hits the reef and bends at the right time. So, you know, you see some waves the surfers have to speed up to get into it. You see some where you've got to hold your speed to get into that barrel. And that is the joy of this place, that it is so varying on all the waves that it makes it one of the best waves in the world.
And one of the tougher events to judge. So we'll let you get back to the panel and watch this heat unfold. But thank you for joining us this morning.
No worries.
22.5 minutes remaining here. Adriano De Souza out in front. But here is Bino Lopez on the inside. Have a good thing. Strider Wazalewski watching on as Bino goes down inside the pit. And that's the perfect example of competitors sitting up deep, up top here on the ledge, and someone down the line, still seeing some major scoring opportunities, and that wave looked like it had a pretty good pace to it, Rosie.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that he elected to kind of let it go while he was deep in that barrel.
Here we go. From the takeoff spot, Adriano de Souza just draws a beautiful line into this pit, grabs that rail, moving way up his board just to get that added momentum through the barrel. And he's going to kick out on this foamy closeout.
Yeah.
21 and a half minutes to go.
Amazing the footwork that Adriano does on his board when he's riding the barrel. Just wants to get far up on the nose of his board to control the speed, and then steps right back on his tail pad to get the rail work in. But yeah, I mean, Ronnie, from our angle, it seemed like Bino had a good read on that wave. Interesting to see him not find the exit.
Well, Wiggly Dantas with a lot more experience in this lineup than Bino, giving him some nuggets of wisdom as he moves into the back half of this heat. But Strider Wasilewski, was that a makeable wave? What happened?
Yeah, you know, it was a little unfortunate for Bino because the wave was absolutely perfect. And it just, I think that lack of experience out here, he came off the bottom. He tried to do kind of a no-handed rail turn up into the bowl, and he just had to set the rail deep enough. And the board basically went one way, he went the other, and he just backslapped into the bowl. The thing was just rifling off. So Bino's putting up some notes on the board right now, and Wiggly's giving him some tips and trying to, you know, tune him in out here. But experience plays off in a great way on this reef, and watching these guys understand it and trying to get their feet out here, it's pretty interesting.
It is super interesting. That was just such a massive opportunity for Bino there, Rosie, because he wasn't sitting out there with priority. He had a great position in the lineup to put up one of the better numbers of the day so far.
Yeah.
And just a little bit...
That's hard to swallow.
Lacking a little bit of experience there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, he probably turned to Wiggly and said, you know, could I have made that one? And it's a blatant yes, you should have kept going. But I think what Strider said about him trying to do the no hands and just kind of coast through it, but you see he just gets a little bit eaten up by that foam ball. Grabbing the rail and just putting your head down probably would have been the way.
You could hear the other competitors out there in the lineup almost across the channel. It was a collective, No one likes to see those ones kind of rifle off with no one inside. Here we go. Here's the replay of Adriano's last wave. This one came through at a 5.
Yeah, just love the read. You know, the line that Adriano draws on this wave. So much speed. Linking those sections together. The footwork that he does on his surfboard, his feet all over different parts of his board. He leans way forward to negotiate through these barrel sections, then gets that back foot back on the deck pad.
Plenty of room in that scale. You take that wave of Adriano's any day of the week. He was so deep. Tickled the foam ball there for a second, but only notched up a 5. I think that Richie gave us a good wrap on what he's looking for. You think about Owen Wright's wave, just the timing. And one thing I noticed from the drone angle of Owen's wave is where he's coming from in setting up those barrels. He's actually behind the foam ball surfing this wave yesterday. The majority of bottom feeders, like you and I,
Yeah.
You are one of us these days, right?
Definitely. Well,
you're sort of staying out in front of it. You don't want to get caught behind. But the best guys out here, they really put themselves in a position where maybe they're not even going to make the wave to get as deep as possible in the tube. Here goes Bino Lopez. Tucks in. And gets a little bit more cover here on the inside. But this wave just starting to get a little lumpy on the face, and as a result, it clamps up. Bino's stuck inside. You can definitely see the difference between a competitor who's done their work in the lineup here at Cloudbreaker and someone who's taking it on for the first time.
Yeah, that wave, just a cylinder to work with for Bino. You know, just mentioning Owen Wright, having the confidence to go by that first section, but watch Bino, there's a couple ribs up this face. He grabs that rail, puts that front foot in the water. That knee just is able to help him with his speed. Just tuck it into the wall, burn some of that speed, and just sit in the barrel. That's what Beno was going for. Just see the perfect shape of this wave. Trying to slow down, puts his butt right in the wall of that wave. It camps down on him.
So just over 16 and a half minutes to go. And much like the last heat, the first half was very open. It was just that one big number that helped Owen Wright claim that victory. So even though Beno is just figuring this place out at the moment and he's counting just a couple of low-scoring rides, he might just click in at any point. Kanoa Igarashi's been very quiet in this heat.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Just not even a point to his name at the moment. He's going to have to come alive in the back half. He's not chasing a big total though.
Just on 16 minutes to go, let's check in with Barton once again.
Blakey, yes, mate. What I feel like I'm seeing out here this morning, and after listening to Richie, is there's a similar sort of approach to the tube that we've seen the judges take with airs over the last couple of years. There was a period in time when 7s and 8s, and there were all sorts of airs throughout the scale, and then it sort of went, well, they're either really, really good ones that get you the 10s, or they're kind of down the scale a little bit. And I think that's what's going on here today. There's those tubes that are, the high-end ones that are going to get those excellent scores. A lot of that's going to come in the size of the wave, as we saw with Owen. It's got to be a good size wave to get that good score, and then the rest are going to be down in that lower range, knowing what the potential is. And when we look at Owen's 8.5, you imagine one of those piping, freighting barrels that we do see down the inside and people driving through them. Plenty of room for 10s out there. Owen's was kind of a little more casual off the bottom and parked it inside it, very much like a pipeline barrel. So we'll be seeing some big scores today, but the judge is keeping that separation between the average ones and those absolute excellent ones.
Good pickup, Barton. Yeah, Adriano de Souza, we mentioned that he was very deep on that section of his ride, but there is some barrels out there that are just spewing.
Dark in the cavern, for sure.
Big spitting barrels, and if you get one of those and you're back inside it, I'd say there's a good chance you're getting into the excellent range. But Adriano just looks like he is in control, even though he's not safe at this point. Beno needs a 7.46 and Kanoa needs an 8.83. His experience is on show. The 5 is maybe a little bit better than a 5. The score maybe doesn't tell you just where the scale is at the moment. I thought that was a pretty decent ride.
Yeah, for sure. I think, every heat you're looking at it, it's a clean slate for the judges to kind of work in the framework of the criteria. It is the benchmark, though, that 5-point ride, I'd have to say. Just the technique that he had in the barrel, the length and speed, and the deepness of the ride all come into play.
Well, just over 13 and a half minutes to go. Seth's approaching, something big standing up out the back. But Kanoa's going to pull his priority out on this first wave. He gets spat from the tube. Good wave selection from the youngster as he drives out onto the open face. Now he's got to get out of the way of this next thing. And it's Beno taking a late drop and going down. A for effort.
Yep.
But it is going to be a throwaway score.
It's almost imminent that you're going to pay, the cloud break toll. There's always going to be those sacrifices that you have to make. Beno just putting in the hard knocks right now, but Kanoa, his wave selection just spot on. One of those inside drainers that just had that clean, thick barrel to work with. Stuffing himself inside that barrel.
And there's a little bit of lineup knowledge coming into play there from the youngster, because we did hear earlier on today that Luke Egan had his charge. Courtney Conlog almost avoiding those first waves in the set, but Kanoa's going to pick up a reasonable number here. Here it is again, a thick insider.
Yeah, that inside nugget just presenting itself, just spewing all over the place, just spitting. Kanoa flying out, carving maneuver, and just front row for Beno's wave. That water angle just gives you that perspective, and just look at the contrasting colors, the hues of blue out here at Cloudbreak. It's such a beautiful spectacle.
Just a dreamy location H2-4 stop 5 on the championship tour. The perfect midway point on the championship tour schedule. It always throws a spanner in the works of the title race. It's obviously a big event for those seeking requalification. The surfers that have struggled through the first half of the year. And the numbers coming through now for Kanoa Igarashi. And they are liking just the girth of that barrel from the outset. Should be the highest scoring ride of the heat so far. It's going to set up a good second half for the youngster. There it is, a 6-point ride. Igarashi still in second, but only chasing a 3.33. You're watching the Out and Known Fiji Pro. Back with more right after this. Welcome back to the Out and Known Fiji Pro. Adriano de Souza is out in the lineup. We're looking back at his victory at Stop 4, the last event on the Championship Tour schedule. He took the win in front of a home crowd. And he is back to the kind of form that saw him stitch up a world title in 2015.
Yeah, that energy level. I watched this final and just the fans getting behind him. Adriano just feeding off that energy, takes the win, skyrockets himself up the ratings.
Just a silky smooth approach he has. Just ironed out the waves over there in Brazil, made that beach break look very, very decent. He had a tough battle with Adrian Buchan, but was strong enough in the final to get the job done, and he moves to second place on the Jeep leaderboard with that win, along with Geordie Smith and Owen Wright, all those competitors holding the same results from the first 4 events. But John Florence still out in front, but have a look at how close it is at the top end. A lot of separation between number 4 and 5 on the leaderboard. Matt Wilkinson, Owen Wright already through to the third round. Adriano's leading at the moment, but he hasn't stitched this heat up just yet, Rosie.
Yeah, that's right. Kanoa came back with an answer. That 6-point ride, the best wave of the heat so far. So Adriano not having any comfort level in the fact that he has the lead at the moment.
3.33, the score for Kanoa. There's a bit of work in that. You think back to that last heat, Zeke Lau, he had a couple of waves that were in the 3-point range that I'd probably count as the waves of my life. Got barreled, came out, did a couple of decent turns, didn't even crack the 4s. Poor thing.
Ronnie, you were well in the running yesterday in the free surf. Lay down some beautiful
That's
tracks.
what I was fishing for, Rosie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here we go. In the blue, Kanoa's up, trying to get the lead here. And he's not going to do it with this ride, so just under 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, Kanoa in that third priority, just trying to snaffle something from underneath the other competitors. I think he's going to reposition himself in the lineup, leave those 2 up the top.
Here we go, Adriano having a look at this one, trying to get rid of a 4.33 to push a little further ahead of Kanoa, deep in the barrel. He'll find the exit through that first section. A bit of fun to deal with here. Love that angle from up above, looking down on De Souza. Just threading that wave. Hard to get an idea of just how big that wall was, but we'll see in a moment. Espino Lopez taps in, but he is way too deep on that ride. He's getting a good look at Cloudbreak underwater.
Yep, he's getting well acquainted with what's below. I've yet to see him lock in anything of substance just yet.
He's had some good vision though, as we have a look at the replay of Adriano's ride from front on now.
Yeah, you can see the way that he just uses his body to gain speed and just works through those two sections, grabbing the rail. And here we go, let's see the work that he does. Watch as he just buys his time and then grabs that rail, gets low, negotiates, and stays high to make it out of that barrel. You can see it does get a little clampy. Staying up top and high in the lip is pretty crucial if you're going to make it out of those ones.
Be interesting to see what the score is for that wave. Adriano, great barrel riding, but there is a big difference between Adriano's last ride and the 6-point ride that Kanoe Igarashi had. The lip is breaking way out there on the flats. Adriano's wave, that lip is falling midway on the face.
Yeah.
What we call an almond-shaped barrel. Not a lot of room to move, and even though the tube riding expertise was on show, just wasn't quite as critical, that wave.
Yeah, it's not so much the surfing that Adriano's doing, just the opportunity on that wave.
I guess the one thing that Adriano might be banking on is the length of time behind the curtain. That might see that score go a little higher, and it does, a 5.83, so he does improve his lead just a little bit. De Souza's had some solid results here in the past. He's cracked the finals a few times. Counts a semi-final as his best finish. That was in 2008. He lost out to CJ Hobgood a couple of times. CJ, one of the best out here.
Yep, CJ spent some time on Tavarua helping Carissa Moore to a third place finish at this event. A fifth place finish, excuse me.
Just under 5 minutes to go. Adriano building. He's improved his scoreline with every ride so far. And he'll look to continue that because Kanoe Igarashi is breathing down his neck at the moment. Only needs a 4.83 to get in front. Bino Lopez, I'm sure at this point he'd just be happy to ride away from start to finish, get himself barreled and find an exit.
Yeah, that's what he's going to be relying on at this point, just finishing off a ride.
Did you, back in the day, Rosie, on the championship tour, did you find yourself in heats where it seemed out of reach, but just wanting to get yourself at least a decent turn in or a barrel ride or something to give you some confidence going into the next round?
Definitely, just to save face. And you mentioned that word confidence that comes into play massively when you're competing. I think when you're in that position and you know that you've got to kind of just kick it up and just save face, like I mentioned, and just ride away from start to finish and have that to your credit on the other side of a heat. It's pretty important.
14% of folks out there playing fantasy put Adriano De Souza in their team. Kanoe Igarashi had 4% of the players throwing him on their team. No one has Bino Lopez on their team, so people obviously giving a lot of credit to those surfers that have the experience in the lineup.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Bino was a last-minute call with Kaio Bailey pulling out of the event.
As we see our competitors gearing up for the next heat, Geordie Smith, Jack Freestone, Yago Dora. Interesting to note that Yago Dora had 36% of the votes. I think people really seeing his potential over there in Rio, taking down John Florence, Gabriel Medina, Mick Fanning. What a run it was. He was an easy call for a wild card here in Fiji.
Yeah, for sure. Great run over in Rio for Yoga, and that's almost like a vote of confidence, almost a bit of a popularity poll to get 33% of the votes on fantasy. It means people believe in your surfing.
Amazing, yeah. 3% of people picking Jack Freestone. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Yago goes here. Of course, as a wild card, he'll go up against some of those top dogs if he continues to move through the rounds. And they're going to have to overcome some pretty sad memories from Rio in order to beat him. But here we go, just on 2 minutes to go. De Souza working now. Has picked off a wave that he spots some potential on for turns. A beautiful swoop off the top to get started. Big old fan of spray. This one's going to break in half though and fade away before hitting the inside. And the ball is well and truly in Kanoa Igarashi's court now. 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. He's got priority. He needs a 4.83.
Yeah, this is where Kanoa can capitalize. The run of the lineup, this much time remaining. He's got to will that perfect wave his way. We saw Owen Wright get that 8.5 in the few remaining minutes of the heat.
Really nice conditions here on day one of the event window for the Adano Fiji Pro. Bit of texture on it early on, with a bit of wind blowing, but it's died right down. It's calm out there at the moment. Most of these swirl lines are turning into some pretty nice barrels. You just need to pick that one that holds open and spit you out. And this is Kanoa now. Not chasing a big score, a 4.83, but needs to go large because this wave, it isn't huge. Gliding through that backhand turn, a little sticky riding out of it, and he knows already.
Wow.
But with a start like that, he's going to be struggling to post that number. 25 seconds to go, and Adriano de Souza looking good for a round one win here. Bino Lopez left chasing an 8.96 in the final stages. Kanoa's last ride's not going to be enough.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, not much time to work with, but Kanoa just unable to get busy on that last wave, only needing that 4.83.
Another sturdy performance from one of our top seeds. And we'll see more end of the lineup in the next couple of heats. We've got Jordy Smith out there next. Can he deal with the pressure? Adriano de Souza winning that last heat. Up next, we'll bring in Kaipo and Potts for the call. Stay with us.